Well, hello. How's everyone today? Good? Excellent, excellent. We want to welcome you to one of the activities of Cultural Awareness Week, which is the Black Studies Department along with the Humanities Institute is sponsoring this particular event. We have Yiraba with Tesan. He is one of the founding members and the director. He is also a West African master drummer. And he is also, by profession, an electrical engineer. And so what we wanted to do today was to show all of the students, as part of the experiential learning that we're offering here at Mesa College, how the rhythms of the djimbe, the drum, are not just something that people look at for entertainment, but it's also related to STEM and STEAM, in the sense that the rhythms of the drum are very much connected to math and science and other types of things, as well as culturally in various forms of fashion. So we're here to learn about that, and we're going to have an opportunity to take and participate. So this is really open to anybody who'd like to come and sit in and be a part of the healing drums that we're offering here, as well as to learn something about this very fantastic experience of the African diaspora. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce to you, ladies and gentlemen, my friend, the master drummer here, and certainly the educator for today, Yiraba. Let's please give him a round of applause.
Thank you. Iniche, Asante Sana. My name is Yiraba. What you just heard traditionally is called a drum call. Whenever traditionally in Africa something is about to happen, The drum is oftentimes used to call people together. When you hear the sound of the drum, you stop what you're doing and you in gather because you hear something is getting ready to happen. In the western region where some of my studies has taken me, they call it Ndundu Bisajina. Over in the Senegalese region where Wolof is spoken, it's a trade language over there, they call it Ndundu Bisajina. So whatever you're doing, stop when you hear that drum and you come to see what's going on. Okay? One of the things I was asked to talk to you about, and I was kind of pulling my hair out over it, was how does this relate to your academics, particularly the STEM, the science, technology, engineering, and math, those things. Because it seems as though when we start looking deep into the African tradition of drumming and music, we find some things that are very complicated there, that would be considered complicated. Things that can't be written, things that can't be scored very easily. And involves quite a bit of logic. Okay? And so, how many actual engineering people here we have? Any engineering people? But we're all doing math, right? We're all doing math. So we have a basic understanding of what logic is, I would assume. I would assume that we know what basic logic is. Well, I didn't want to take that for granted, so I checked with Merriam-Webster and the dictionary.com and all those, what they had to say about logic. And there was many different explanations and different types of logic in that world, but one jumped out at me that was pretty profound. It says, reason or sound judgment, as in utterances or actions. Now, how many of us think of logic in those terms? Not often. But it is a great explanation. We think about algorithms, we think about logarithms in the sciences, and we see the complexity in those things, but we don't often relate those things to the music that we listen to every day. And in our music every day is packed with those things. Algorithms and logarithms, they are there. They're there in our literature, they're there in our rap, it's there in our poetry. It's all there because there's rhythm in all those. There's rhythm in all those things. Well, what is rhythm? Rhythm is just a collection of sounds done in time. And there's rhythm all around us. There's rhythms going on in your body right now on a cellular level. There's patterns and cycles going on in your body with regularity. Most common, we feel our heartbeat at night when we're quiet. If we get quiet enough, we can feel and we can hear our heartbeat. So what human beings have done over time is from nature emulated the things that they have saw or they observed in nature. Rhythm is a wave that we just capture and we try to ride it out. So I know everyone here has a strong appreciation for music, no doubt. Who here does not like music or listen to music? Nobody. Everybody listens to it. And we figure it out. We let it tickle our auditory nerves and release those endorphins from our brain, and we work it out. Whether it's something complex or whether it is something simple, we work it out. Okay? Well, in our popular music right now, I mentioned rap. I'm not going to rap, but I just want to let you know that some people don't really appreciate rap because of the simplicity that's there. But there's simplicity and complexity in the meter. Something simple that can capture you and engage you for that long, there's got to be something going on. So when we look further, when we look deeper into it, yes, there are rhythms there that does release certain chemicals in your brain and holds you in attention. there are some things that release some chemicals that repel us as well. Things that calm us down, things that get us excited as well. What this drum I just played is capable of raising excitement. It's called a djembe. This is from the 12th century ancient Mali, the last kingdom in the West before the Atlantic slave trade. It's a very popular drum all over the world right now. So I brought this drum out just to get your reaction and to see if I could capture you in the moment, which I believe I did. Djimbe. You say Djimbe with a hard DJ, E-M-B-E, Djimbe. Okay? Or in some regions they say Yimbe, Y-E-M-B-E, or Yinbe, Y-E-N-B, depending on what region in West Africa you are. And with it also, I brought probably the oldest drum in the West, Dundun. And there's a family of 3 here. There's Dundun Ba, the mother drum, and then in the middle are the Sangbanis, and then the smaller one are Kinkinis. When you play them all together, it's a very rich ensemble. Well, I was talking a little bit about logic there, and I wanted to just share with you that music is natural logic. Well, what I mean when I say natural logic is because it was happening before scientific notation or the scientific method. Music was happening before the notations in math. It happened naturally. It was there. People were figuring out. They were figuring out meter. They were figuring out phrasing, duration, all the terms that you can relate to in mathematical terms and scientific terms. So it's very, very, very a natural occurrence. Well, in rhythm, particularly, I brought the drums to deal with this, particularly in rhythm, we're dealing with time. We're flying through space and time right now, right? We're not just sitting here. We're in a cycle. Cycles all around us. The moon is rising and falling with regularity. The tides ebbing and waning. Our solstices, our orbits. We're flying through in time right now. Okay? And some of us, like myself and some of you, are time junkies. We like rhythm in some form or fashion. We get it and we ride it and we roll with it. Whether we know it or not, we're working out logic when we do that. In rhythm, there's syncopation. There's polyrhythms or many rhythms combined together, each one contributing its own little part and contributing to an overall pulse or destination. There's multimeters, meaning different time signatures put together, particularly in African music. That's why some of us, when we allow ourselves to be attached to very easy time signatures, when we sometimes hear African music or we get taken back to the old complex ways of playing, we don't quite understand it, or it may sound a little bit much for our ears. But with a little bit of careful observation, you're going to see and hear some things that I'm sure that you could appreciate. I'll give you an example. Most of, since we listen to a lot of popular music, and it's particularly, I'll use rap as a reference again, most of it is done in 4/4 time. 4/4 time. It's comfortable, it's easy, and it draws you in through its simplicity. 1, 2, 3, 4, with everything on the downbeat. In music notation, there's a 4/4, a 4/4 time. But could we rap to this? You could, if you knew where the 1 was. Okay? Right there. It's underneath. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you know where the one is, you can do complex things and stay in a direction that will get you from the beginning to the end. And if you are able to think linear and vertical at the same time, you can go in and out, demonstrate complexity and demonstrate simplicity as well. I could talk a lot, but I think if we get some hands-on, you may get a clearer understanding of what I mean. Okay? I'm going to ask for 3 to start out. 3 volunteers. Can I get 3? Don't be don't be shy about that, because and one of the things we want to remember, if you are having difficulties in your math and in your logic, what I'm going to show you is, if you take within your formulas, your written formulas, if you master one part, then another part, and combine them, and then add another part and combine them, pretty soon you have a very long equation, or you have a very long formula that you have completed. This works the same way. Now, the mother drum, the big cylindrical ones there, are called dunumba again, and then the ones in the middle are called sangbani. Now, so we have 3, okay? But on top of them is a bell. The bells occupy 3 more different rhythms. So you can build 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and get a lot going at one time. But before I do, and since we're STEM students, I want to show you the technology that telegraph, when it came out, had to compete with and lost. You know telegraph, Morse code. Okay, that had to be put up on a telephone pole. It had to be strung out on a wire, and it only could go so far. Now in West Africa, you don't hang in there with me, buddy. In West Africa, if you had to go through thick bush and terrain, I mean, it only goes so far. This travels at the speed of what? Speed of sound. Exactly. You get a period over miles in tandem, like relay. You load them up in relay, and you're sending signals for miles and miles and miles and miles. And the language in the drum is very precise. All the cultures in West Africa that have a log drum, this one, particular one, is from Guinea, it's called Kariyen. All those cultures that had log drums could communicate with each other with much precision. Like, we need rice. We have no more rice. When you come, bring rice. They could say that on this drum. Okay? You get your djembe players out there in the field, and you start playing. Before you know it, that field is plowed, because they move in rhythm and they move in time. Turning the dirt. The women pounding the millet and the rice in the mortise and the pestle. If you've ever seen that, if you've never seen that, it's very beautiful. 4 of them around one pestle, pounding in time, throwing it up and clapping. One rhythm here, a rhythm there, another rhythm there, another rhythm there, and the next thing you know, they singing and they getting the work done. Okay, so these instruments help get through difficult times, get through work, and through understanding of how to combine different elements serves us to get a better understanding of how to get through difficult times, get through difficult matter. If you understand this, you can pretty much figure out anything else. One more bit of technology before I forget. This thing, have you ever heard of a thing called a tap song? You know what tap song is? Tap song is a new password technology. You know, we have the iris where they read your eyes for password. They read your fingerprint, and you have passwords. Well, there's this thing called tap songs. Let me get it right. It's a new method of password entry, and the concept is based on evidence of music psychology concerning humans' ability to perceive and perform rhythms. Okay, so instead of you putting a key in or typing a password in, tap out a rhythm. It could be something as simple as, see if you can tell me what this is. Mary had a little lamb. Yes. Mary had a little lamb. Okay. But say you decide to use something else like, let me see. Help me out. Give me a rap. Give me a phrase, a rap phrase. A clean one. Okay, I'll give you something else simple. I mean, very, very simple. Some of you might not even know this.
Gently down the stream. Row your boat.
Row your boat. Okay? So, you can do some things under this technology, and it is a algorithm. This technology uses algorithms in a tap pad, a little computer with a chip in there, and it's an algorithm. It learns your particular rhythm. Give it a shot. On the end, we're going to answer on the end. Okay, so we had at least maybe 4 layers going there. And it's kind of like the freeway. Once you get in, you gotta stay in your lane. You can't be over there. You have when you get locked in, you gotta lock in.
Yep.
Now what happens is that once you become comfortable, then you can start multitasking. I know it's all you can take to stay in your lane right now. But after you get comfortable, you can start splitting your concentration and listen to your relationship with the other part. Okay? Then you'll be able to listen even a little further to the third part. Okay? Then if you got a dancer, okay, which all of these rhythms come from, fellas, we gotta just give it up where we need to give it up. It's because of the women that we know what we know on the drumming. Because remember the woman that I was telling you about clapping and working and singing while they're doing their work? We just piggyback off of most of the women singing and clapping. Okay? These inventions came after singing and clapping. These inventions came later in time. The inspiration came from the singing and the clapping. Okay? So, when you're able to lock in and think in all these multiple layers, you're building this mental stamina, okay, and focus, a type of focus, that if you carry that focus into something like you're doing as students, figuring formulas, and doing algorithms, I mean, just one little piece at a time, building and building until you have it, or a logarithm until you know and understand that, piece by piece by piece. Now that was slow, that was comfortable speed, okay? Now, he was almost getting ready to dance. You say, that's all good. How many drummers do you know play like this or straight up? No, they're like, the body's got rhythm inside of it as well, okay? Now, we got those people that have a good sense of time and that good inner ear, and they can stand still. But if it's good, it's going to compel you to move. So, this guy was threading a needle. But if you were to go ahead and give it the math formula, it's in 3/4. It's a 3/4 time. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1. Okay? Now, so in rhythm forms, when we want to talk logic and math, there are two forms, ternary and binary. Okay? We can talk about those things, but is that the way they were taught in the 12th century? Were they talking binary and ternary in the 12th century? They just knew it. They just understood it. Okay? Were they talking polymetric? No. Were they going like 1, 2, 3? No. They just did it. They just did it. So there's those abilities within you. We have all the representations around it. All we're doing is copying and emulating what's around us in nature. Okay, one more time. One, 2, 3, go. We'll go real simple here. Okay, now let's break it down. When I say break it down bit by bit, we have two unity notes. Then, two together, then one by itself, and then two more together. Okay? Let me back that up. And we can even make it further, but we want to go 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now, keep going? Yes, sir. Clap on the one. If you don't, no, you go. Clap on the one. That's where you attack in your syncopation. Ping-ponging backwards and forth, but when you put them together, you have a complete statement. You have a complete phrase. Can can kidin can can. Can can kidin can can. You can count that in a 6/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. That's what we're saying. We're calling multimeter. Okay, or polyrhythm. Okay. The syncopation is coming from the bell. Okay? So we got some serious rhythm elements going there. But if we get really good at this, We can do some things called dynamics. Okay? Dynamics. Who knows what dynamics means? I mean, it's something outstanding, right? You got to know what dynamics are. Some of the older folks will definitely know about James Brown giving us those dynamics he called breakdown.
Right.
And James Brown broke it down. He would be up here and just in his groove, what we call a groove. Now, a groove is in mathematical terms, is something is binary, okay? And it's kind of what we call a sweet spot. It's the part that feels really, really good, and you run with it. So you add the next element to it, repetition. You run it. You run it. Nowadays, we're just greedy for the groove. We're groove greedy now. People are calling them beats. I'm still trying to understand the beats because there's a lot of elements in there. It's just filled with repetition on the really feel good part. We're ODing on the best part. Okay? But when we get really good at this, say groove, we can add dynamics. Dynamic are either it's very loud or it's very soft. And why I mentioned James Brown, because he mastered that. He gave us that in our funk rhythms, in our funk beats. When he said break it down, I mean, you had to fall to almost a whisper. Okay? You had to fall to a whisper. I mean, it's going, it's going, it's going, it's going. Plop! Okay? Very, very soft. So that is a dynamic in volume change. I don't know if we can get that far, but we're going to try to do what we got right now. By the way, this rhythm that we're doing now is called Seruba. Seruba. And Seruba, it comes from the Senegambia region. And it's usually done with another rhythm called Lenjing. Okay? Seruba is the welcoming part of a dance, a social dance that is done on quiet afternoons. And the dance that follows this takes from nature as well. Have you ever seen the egret, the great egret, the stork? Have you ever seen the mating ritual of a stork? It's a party. It is. You go online and look at the mating ritual of an egret. They really do a lot of movement. So, other times in African music and dance is inspired by natural occurrences as well. Okay? So let's do a build. I'm going to build it from sanbani. Okay? Now, in African tradition too, we depend on our inner ear, our inner sense, our inner metronome. Okay? We can say 1, 2, ready, go. But it usually doesn't happen like that. In the village, women get it going first. They start singing and they start clapping. Aye, mumumbale, kuntesere kuna mumumbale. Aye, mañana la, kuntesere kuna mañana la. didn't show you the signal. All right. Now that's like, you ever see those guys juggling the sticks and the plates?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of what it's like to get everybody on, and then you stay on. Now, what I did some free form on top of it in musical language, and that we understand in English, we would say obstinato. Okay? Very, as an African characteristic, improvisation, freestyle. We got freestyle rap, we got freestyle preaching, we got freestyle drumming, we got improvisation. Okay? We carry that all the way from Africa. Now, if someone is improvising, then you need those layers under you to stay still. So that means you have to wade through all of what's going on and be locked in. You saw if I did something off time, that kind of would pull him out, or pull someone out. You could say there's things random in time. Random. It's really strange. But there's order with random. If I do something random or improvise, where I put it has a contribution in time. Thank you. Give him a hand. He helped. He's great. Anybody want to take his place? Now, okay. Since we don't go 1, 2, 3, 4, we did it like in the village. We build it. We build it from a song. Very good, Ante. You knew exactly when to start. But this, and by the way, obviously he's a musician. Obviously, Professor Merritt is a musician as well, so they have some sense of timing. But some of these guys probably have never done this before. So your sense of timing is, you're making judgments and you're making calculations. If you strung the calculations, your mental calculations out, if you saw that on paper, it would blow you away. Okay? Just getting up out of your chair and walking around this post so you don't trip into it. There's calculations, there's spatial calculations going on inside your brain. So, if there's any difficulty, I know science is not for everybody. Math is not for everybody. But maybe you can accomplish some things there with a basic appreciation of it, knowing that you're doing it all the time. From the time you wake up in the morning, computation is going on inside your head to tell you which side of the bed to roll out on, where to put your feet, how to stand up, not crash into the closet door or whatever. You're making all these calculations, spatial and in time. Okay? So algorithms, logarithms, that's just a way of better understanding what's going on. It's just a better way of understanding. And the music that we're doing here, it can be written in binary. It could be written in regular musical notation. But that's for people who are learning and want a quicker way to understand, or better, faster way to understand, or for those who don't have a sense of timing to get into it. Okay? The neat thing, while I am drawn so much to African rhythm and African music, because it's, as I said earlier, it has found a way to combine simplicity and complexity together at the same time. Now, simplicity. Say if we were singing, we know we have our regular do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, like an octave. Okay? And in the written, when you write those notes out, it's a half step up or a half step down. Well, Africans sing all that stuff in between. They don't leave anything out. Okay? So if you hear African music and you go like, I don't really like that, they singing out of tune, they don't, that's because you are locked into do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, half step up, half step down, sharp or flat, for so long. But maybe your appreciation could come in our R&B, in our R&B singers who do sing in between. We bend and we stretch and we slur through all those notes that cannot be written. To write it, they just gotta do like a that's what they do, like that. So if somebody's going if they're slurring through all that, it cannot be written. They gotta draw a little line to maybe tell you where it starts and where it ends. That slur. Now, if you stop that at different points, some of it may not sound right to you. So when you go to traditional African music, particularly in West Africa, they sing in the minor modes. And when they do those little stop points along there, it might not sound right to you. It may sound a little bit wrong and out of tune, because we are grounded in what is easy for our understanding. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, half step up, half step down. Okay? Now, same in the drumming. There are some things happening in there that cannot be written. But not all of it. It's here. So, maybe one day we're going to hook a brain up and see what that looks like in binary. There is a program. I'll share this. I shared the tag song technology, right? But most everybody was here. The tag technology is rhythm coding for passwords and security work. And we're living in the age of security, right? You got some agents on campus here? That's a different lecture. But, Beatnik. How many of y'all have heard of the program Beatnik? No? Well, Beatnik takes a bass representation, say like of a rap rhythm, takes a bass representation of, and Beatnik was developed strictly for rap. When brothers started rapping, they maybe wrote their lyrics down, but they were coming from here. They were coming straight from here. So someone got smart enough to create a program called Beatnik. It helped them better understand and break it down. But Beatnik takes a bass representation of a rap rhythm and produces others from it. The bass representation is typed into a file by the user, and then this file is then fed in the Beatnik. The representation produced by Beatnik are useful for analysis, but it would be tedious to create by hand. In addition, if multiple representations were made by hand, any change to the rap's transcription would have to be made in more than one place. So by using Beatnik, there is one base file that represents the rap, and so a single change to it will be reflected in all other representations once the base file is run through Beatnik to perform the update. Why not just do it? Why not just do the rap? Just do the rap. Sometimes we can overanalyze things, okay? But when things are in its simplest representation, broken down piece by piece, those of us who don't have an understanding can come into understanding when things are broken down. So if it's happening like that for you in your in your science and your math, you're not getting it, take a page out of what we just did right here. Break it down a little bit, piece by piece by piece. Put it together and see what you have.
Yiraba, we have just a few more minutes. Can we have some question and answers?
Yes, questions and answers.
Can we open that up?
Yes.
Does anybody have any questions?
What's those things on your fingers?
This is just tape. It's really dry today. It's really dry today, and these are animal skins. These are raw animal skins, and they will take moisture out of your hand. And like I do a lot of playing, so if I go too dry, I can crack. So I just do that to keep from cracking in the areas that I typically will crack in. Okay, kind of like dancers do their feet. Athletes will take their ankles just as a precaution. Okay. Any other questions? Remember, this family. We're talking historically from on the timeline. We're talking ancient Mali, and maybe in your art history, you may have looked at some of those great kingdoms in the West. Those last three great ones: Songhai, Mali, ancient Ghana. Okay, Mali was the last one. It was the last in the West before the Atlantic slave trade that was broken up. It was the last one. It went from 12th century to 17th century. One characteristic, let me just show you that this is not complete. In the village, there's no innocent bystanders. So some of y'all got away easy by observers. In the tradition, there is never an innocent bystander. And what happens too is what I call a triad: the singing, the instruments, or the music, and the dance. Inseparable in traditional Africa, never separated. Very rarely do you see that separated. Always together. Only in our pop and our contemporary times do we separate and we have instrumental music or something different. Even if it's just something, a shaker or something keeping time, hand claps, those are instruments with the singing and the movement. Very seldom separated. So that is a characteristic that you should always remember about African music. Never separated. That's a modern thing where we like our jazz, our instrumental music. That's something very different. But let me show you this, because this is from the Wassalon. This is from the Wassalon region. The Wassalon straddles the colonial borders between Mali and Guinea. Now, for anybody of you who know jazz and you understand jazz, the straight ahead and progressive jazz. Now, our trap drummers with the hi-hat. Ticketing, 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 ticketing. That's where it's the Korean. I'm sorry, the scraper. This is the Korean here. That's where we get that from in our jazz. Now, if you want to make your blues comparisons, if you want to travel, if you're doing art and music history, and you want to travel and find out how we got our blues, our gospel, and jazz, go to Mali. Go to the region, present day Mali, right now, and listen to that region's music. That's where we're getting our blues. Our blues came up through the Mississippi Delta in that region in Mississippi, because Malians were placed there during slavery. Malians brought that sound there. Down in that region, we have about 3 different languages where people from Mali, from Guinea, from what we call now Ivory Coast, Liberia, Ghana, they were all thrown in the mix with all those different languages. So they created about 3 different languages in that region. Gullah, Geechee, 2 of them. Creole came a little later with the mixture of the French, but strictly African dialects, Geechee and Gullah, 2 of them. You probably can still hear Gullah down in the Georgia Sea Islands. Okay, so we have a lot of influence coming through there. Now, and in the rest of your history, when you look out, don't forget Cuba, don't forget Haiti. When you look down in those areas in the diaspora, you're going to find all these traditional sounds down there because they were given the freedom to continue to worship and bring their understanding of order in the universe, their cosmologies. It wasn't taken from them. So consequently, our music sounds different here in North America. We have an acculturated sound with Europeans here. We had to play fiddle. We had to play, which we were good at because there are a lot of stringed instruments in Africa. Don't think Africa is just all drums. You'll be astounded to find the stringed instruments there. In the West, there's a 21-string harp called kora there that is very beautiful. Kora is 21 strings and very, very melodic. There's simbing, buentois, koni, a lot of different string instruments. Now, if you did the demographics for every ethnic group that you find throughout Africa, you're going to find instruments that are indigenous to those groups. So there's a plethora of musical instruments. There's almost as many different types of drums as there are languages spoken there. Okay? So those of us who have our heritage here in North America, you can put it together and understand why we're kind of late regaining and understanding some of those traditions, especially our drumming. We're just now getting our drumming back, say within the last 70, 80 years. Because up here, if you got caught with a drum, they take your hand. Why? Because you can talk and you can plot and you can do strategy. Okay, you can do strategy. Plantation owners don't want you with a drum. That's the last thing they want you to have, okay? Now, they might let you have it on the slave voyages to calm you down and keep you from jumping overboard. But as soon as you hit that land, drum is gone. Drum is gone. If we drum, it had to be in disguise and secret. Take a water barrel or something, throw a skin over it, and get a ceremony gun. And before Massa come back, you got to take that skin off. You got to turn it back into a water barrel. So we were late, but a lot of the secrets and traditions were kept in Cuba, Haiti, even in Central America, because Africans were all down through there. Okay, but we're coming back, and through things like this, we're being introduced. Black Studies and
Humanities Institute.
Yes, and Humanities Institute. But everybody, these things, the drumming, our music is transcending all cultural barriers. Everybody is. My teacher, who is a grandmaster, his organization is called Tam Tam Manding. He has Tam Tam Manding Korea, Tam Tam Manding Taiwan, Tam Tam Manding Japan, Tam Tam Manding Canada, Tam Tam Manding Australia, Tam Tam Manding Brussels, Tam Tam Manding France, Tam Tam Manding Israel. It's global. These drums are being appreciated all over the world. So, here in America, we're about in our, I think our, coming up on our 4th generation. Ballet Africain came with, when Sekou Touré, Guinea gained their independence, he put a regional group together as ambassadors, and they went out and toured the world. And when they made it here, it was the first session, I believe, of the United Nations, and they performed. And brothers here, black folks here, saw that. We were doing acculturated versions, Afro-Cuban, Afro-Haitian. Some of our forerunners, Dizzy Gillespie, brought Cheno Pozo up, and later make more direct connections. But through our jazz, we were able to start at least doing some drumming and have some appreciation to our Cuban brothers coming up to Florida and New York. But when Ballet Africain came to that first session of the UN, it was on. We established a direct connection. Okay? So now we're in our 4th generation, and my son is a drummer, and each generation gets better and better and better. There's a saying, nothing separates our continental Africans and diasporans other than the water. The traditions can be retained, and through programs like this, programs of retention. Okay? So I thank you. Okay? My name is Yiraba.
So let's. Did you enjoy? Did you enjoy? I can't hear you. Yes. Yes. Wonderful, wonderful. It's wonderful to have experiences like this to bring your educational experience to what we call experiential learning. And so part of it is making what you learn alive, something that can resonate with you and take with you wherever you go. And so we want to thank Yiraba. Let's please give him a round of applause, please. You know, it's not easy sometimes to have people come out here in the middle of the day during prime time when you're here to take and share with you which awaits you in the world. So we want to bring this to you as think of it as a gift, right? As a gift to why you're here and why we want you to be appreciative of what we're sharing with you so that you can be a part of this global experience that we're talking about. And I want to thank you, Yiraba, so very much for taking the time out of his very busy schedule to come and to share with us the master drumming. You know, he's bringing information and experiences from across the waters, from the continent, from the homeland of humanity, to reconnect us all to our humanities. And that's what the Humanities Institute does with these kinds of events, is to take and bring us all together so that we can appreciate each other's differences and see our similarities within that. So I want to thank you so very much for spending the time to take and be out here. Dr. Merritt, thank you so much for joining the ensemble. And I hope you enjoyed it. And please make sure that you come back tomorrow. We're going to have African quilters here, the fashion show of all countries around the world. So there's a lot that's still going on this week, and we hope that you'll join us. Thank you so very much. Have a really great day. I didn't